All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our review of Super Wildcard Weekend. That was not so super because the games were kind of duds.
Very
Um,
not super.
yeah, lots of blowouts. One good game. We'll talk about all of the games, though. But before we get into that, as always, we just appreciate all of the love, support, the likes, subscribes, all of those kind of things. Keep it up. We're only like 60 subscribers away from our goal of 100 that we started the year with. So
We can do it 4 more weeks.
we got 4 more weeks. Um, late surge. You know what? We're gonna go viral this week talking about the games because I'm sure we all have some lovely takes from this weekend, especially Blake when it comes to his Cowboys.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and Blake when it comes to his Mike McDaniel's Dolphins.
Oh yeah.
And
I can't
Blake
wait
when
to
it
talk about that game.
And Blake, when it becomes who's going to be the head coach of his new Atlanta Falcons, I mean, Blake's ready to go.
I feel like Blake has too many teams.
Blake's
Like,
locked
It's a
and
big
loaded.
week for me.
This has gotten out of hand. Like it's
Wait, I
gotten
like hold up. I like individuals. I was the biggest Lions fan on Sunday night. I like individuals. MCDC, Dan Campbell.
Nah,
come
man,
on.
once Matt Stafford broke his ribs, I was like, let's go, Stafford. You can do
No,
this.
I was all in on the Lions.
Also, the fact that the Lions only had 86 yards in the second half, I really think I was rooting for the Rams there. I was like,
But
yeah,
did you
they're
see
playing better football.
that dude who had been a season ticket holder for 66 years?
I mean, yeah, good for him.
66 years. I wanted it for him. He was 90 years old.
I wanted it for him. I did this for you.
All right, but before we actually talk about the games, football is just, it's cruel. It's what it is. And literally right after we finished filming and posting podcasts last week, the biggest football news in 20 years happened, all within 24 hours, and we haven't talked about it yet. So we have not talked about the fact that Bill Belichick was fired, which is just insane. Coach with the most Super Bowls of all time.
Parting of ways.
Walk away.
He was
He
fired.
got fired.
And that Nick Saban also retired. So, like, the two goats of coaching in their respective divisions all in 24 hours lose their jobs. Also, Pete Carroll also was fired in that time
Can we
period
talk
too.
about that?
But
Like
we're going to start with Pete Carroll. We're starting with Pete Carroll. All
No,
right.
well, I'm talking about the group. The fact that everyone was lumping in Pete Carroll with Belichick and
Yeah.
Saban was just stupid.
Okay, this is kind of how I look at it, though. All right. So Pete Carroll, Belichick, hell, I'll even throw in Saban in there. Those are like the remaining greats from our childhood.
I mean, they're the old guys. I mean, I would throw Mike Tomlin in there. Mike Tomlin's been there for 17 years.
Sure.
That's our childhood.
For sure. But when I think about coaches, players,
Andy Reid.
I think of Belichick. I think of Pete Carroll.
Tom Brady. No, Pete Carroll. No, Pete Carroll's.
I don't think about Pete. I don't think about Pete Carroll.
Pete
I
Carroll, I
remember-
guess, was always the
I
bad guy.
remember-
I always hated Pete Carroll.
So upset at Pete Carroll. Okay, not childhood, I guess, because that's like 2013. The
When?
interception.
Yeah, when we were young,
to
run the
like
ball
that,
from the
yeah.
1 yard
Run
line.
the ball
play.
from the one. I remember being so upset that Pete Carroll did that. But I remember Pete Carroll at USC.
Yeah, the bad guy. Pete Carroll's always been the bad
He
guy.
was the bad guy. But
Yeah,
like
he ran away. Ran away when he cheated.
Yeah.
in my head,
Ooh,
our
put Pete
childhood,
Carroll back in.
fellas, we are no longer children. We had
I mean, yeah.
a couple old guys we were hanging on to.
Hey, we got Joe Flacco keeping us young. Way to go, Joe Flacco.
It's not the same.
He tried. He tried.
He looked exactly like Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
That was the full Flacco experience.
Yeah, we got the full
I
Flacco
miss Tom
experience.
Brady. We still have Aaron Rodgers technically.
I don't miss Tom Brady at all. Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself. He just is good for interviews. It's over. It's over.
Our childhood's over.
All we have left is Andy Reid. Except for the difference is now Andy Reid sometimes wins the Super Bowl now instead of losing it every time.
Yeah.
Dude,
You kind of
these
flipped the script
spread-
there.
insane.
Oh yeah, good luck. I don't know, man. Alabama and lose like in Saban. Ooh, that. I hope that he like is legitimately retired.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, just go hang out with Miss Terry.
I think the whole I think Saban had more years in him, but the way college football has changed, I think he just got tired of it.
Oh yeah. So that's what we needed to really talk about is basically that the transfer portal and NIL just killed Nick Saban because
Yeah, that's honestly what I think did it.
I mean,
or it made it easier for him.
And I don't think it's a thing that like you can say that like Nick Saban can't adjust. I just don't think he wanted to.
He adjusted 1,000 times during his career. He can adjust.
I was gonna say it just doesn't go with his morals that he tries to teach these young kids of like, hey, even though you've been hot crap all your life, you're gonna come here, you're gonna work hard, you're gonna earn your place. Like nothing's gonna be given to you. And now you get these guys coming in who are just like, where's my Lambo? I'm blah blah blah. This is my name. I deserve this. And I just don't.
Did you see Isaiah Bond? Literally, I think he pulled up with a Lambo. Legit.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I mean, those are your like that right there. Texas, the Texases of the world are the schools that you're just gonna see them get better and better and better. I know that everyone doesn't want to say it, but like the University of Texas is going to improve every single year because of this if they don't put any reins, because no one can compete with Texas financially, and it's not close.
I still there's going to be some sort of regulation on this whole thing.
There's got to be. I mean, it's so simple. You are college football. You are the predecessor to NFL football. What does the NFL have? A salary cap. And that salary cap literally makes it impossible for teams to just repeat as national champions all the time, except for somehow Bill Belichick, who is the greatest GM and coach of all time, figured out a way to repeat. And it helps to have a really good quarterback.
Yeah, it helps to have the greatest quarterback of all time.
I legit don't know what the answer is to the whole thing, but there's got to be like either you do like some sort of like Harbaugh was saying, maybe they need to do like profit sharing, where like the players get a cut of whatever money is made.
But once again, that's advantage UT.
I actually think profit sharing is a great idea to teach these college kids about socialism. They all preach it. They all love the idea. Let's teach them about socialism. Let's tax the shit out of all the money. We'll put in one big pot. The kicker gets the same as the quarterback.
Speaking of, I'm surprised we haven't seen a big story about like, oh, these guys that made $2 million didn't pay any of their taxes.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think there's been enough time yet. Give it some time.
Maybe it's this year.
It's definitely happening. Someone fucked it up somewhere.
The IRS is definitely just sitting here just like, all right, yeah, pay the kids. Let these 18-year-olds, give them a ton of money. That and the credit card companies are just like, yeah. This is going to be great.
There's probably somebody on campus that's paid to like educate on some of that, I'm sure.
I mean, there always has been, but I mean, there's also that person in the quad selling them a credit card that the kid doesn't understand.
Yeah, or maybe maybe the schools monitor, like they're like, hey, you get a check, bring it here, and we'll monitor this so that doesn't happen.
Like
I can see it. It's gonna be like Travion Henderson got a $2 million NIL deal and has paid zero taxes.
I just feel like it's so simple. Like, hey, here's what you do. Part of the TV deal is that the TV company gives each school, as part of their deal, they get $1 million per year. And then the school gets to decide who gets the $1 million and how.
That would be a good way. Like, generally, if you play in the SEC or Big Ten, you're going to be making the similar amount of money. The struggle is, how do you combat like the outside? Because I feel like the whole like heart behind NIL was like, oh, you can use your likeness to get money, and it turned into pay for play or play for pay, as opposed to like, hey, come read this advertisement for us and let us take a picture and we'll pay you $1,500.
Yeah,
it's just turned into come to the school and we'll give you $1 million.
Yeah,
and whereas if you do it like that, where if it's like true, like maybe it's the TV deal because they're all about to make buku money off the TV deal, both conferences. Then everyone is sort of leveled the playing field a bit. Where there's no advantage like, hey, we can pay this guy so much. It's up to, although then you're going to get ticked off guys when like Coach Elko's like, well, we're giving this guy this much money and this guy this much money.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's going to be the balancing force, where you're going to have, certain schools play and their coaches play with certain styles. So like your Georgias and Alabamas are probably going to spend more money on their offensive and defensive lines, while USC is going to give all their money to the quarterback or whatever. It makes it to where you can't have all of the best players go to the same school, and that it would distribute the talent is what I'm saying.
Pretty much be the NFL.
Yeah, and it'd be similar-ish. But, like, seriously, the longer it goes with anything, like, there's only so many schools that actually make a ton of money and, like, have the boosters for it. And you're already starting to see how quickly somebody can turn your program around.
Which is part of the reason I think Saban left, is because I think part of him – Alabama doesn't have, like, the NIL infrastructure that the other schools are doing because they would win regardless.
Yeah.
And so I think Saban was like, he begged the boosters like a couple of years in a row, like, hey, if you want to be this team, we got to have money.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was getting the money from the alumni that he thought he might get.
Yeah, and I mean, you've already seen Texas A&M has completely changed their strategy in 3 years. They don't recruit anymore. Our whole plan is like hit the transfer portal,
which is honestly
good. It's a good idea.
Probably the smartest thing to do right now.
That's what Ole Miss is doing.
That's what Texas did this year, and they made the playoff. I mean, they played in the Big 12, so.
I mean, Ole Miss, their roster on paper is crazy next year.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be
paying for it. A&M, we got more defensive backs than anyone in the country.
We just got somebody else. I just saw Elko.
The Alabama 5-star defensive
back.
Got him? Yep.
I mean,
defensive back.
I will say,
our defense.
The other side effect of the Nick Saban retiring is Alabama is a fire sale right now.
Yeah.
That April, or I guess it's open to them, right? The transfer portal's open to.
They get 30 days.
Yeah,
they get 30 days.
So yeah, like I would be calling every single fucking player. I'd be like, dude, come here.
Which, it's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like Alabama did the right thing. They win it. They already have announced their coach. Like, their coach.
They did it quick.
They did it quick. Their coach is, like, not a nobody. It's a guy who has won everywhere he has gone. He was just in the national championship game. So you would think that maybe he would have that ability to come in and tell the players, like, hey, I got this. It's going to be okay. But no, all of them are just like, nah, F it. It's not Bama anymore.
Which is crazy. Which I think part of it's probably the money situation. Like, you're just not going to have the amount of money you can get, like, in Texas versus Alabama is going to be a wide margin if you're a player.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, and then you have this dude coming in from Seattle that has no experience in the South.
Yeah.
Coming down here acting
who also
whatever,
really doesn't have, like, Kalen. Yeah, but he doesn't have that, like, hey, I guarantee you play here, you're going to play in the NFL and be successful, and you're going to get that second contract in the NFL. Like, Kalen DeBoer doesn't have any players that are out there making their money. Now, I'm not saying that's not true, because, like, Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs played for him in Washington, and, like, he's a great player. But he just doesn't have that pedigree with the players of, like, now if it was somebody, I think it would be terrible. If it was somebody with, like, the reputation of, like, Dabo 3 years ago that came in, like, if it was Dabo from 3 years ago, I don't think you would see the same fire sale.
No, because he knew all those dudes probably.
Yeah,
he knew them all, and also he had a good track record of, hey, my players go play on Sunday.
Washington wasn't exactly competing with Alabama for recruits.
Yeah,
no.
Also, Alabama fans are very quick to forget the fact that they went from Bear Bryant to Gene Stallings to who for 40 years? Mike Shula. They had a lot of bad football for about 40 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
We remember 2008 to 2023. There was a lot of bad football being played in Alabama before then.
Yep, and it is very possible that it will happen again.
I'm not saying Kalen DeBoer is going to be bad, because I think he's won every single place he's been.
Yeah.
But it does give me major Brian Harsin vibes. I'm not going to lie.
And we have the whole restructuring of the SEC.
Plus the whole, like, the fans at Alabama are gonna. As soon as he loses a game, he is toast. Because the expectation is going to be like the most unreasonable thing of all time.
Yeah, I would never. You can't like. I mean, it's the same thing with the Patriots. Even though the Patriots went 4-13 last year or this year, like whoever's following Belichick,
It's not going to be pretty.
you
It's
better
like-
win the AFC East because
Yeah.
that's what the Patriots fans expect, and they're not going to. The Bills are a wagon. The Dolphins are better than they are. The Dolphins are terrible, but they're better than the Patriots.
They asked Feinball the day Nick Saban retired, what do you expect from the next head coach at Alabama? And he said disappointment. He said there's no chance that you walk in and you fulfill what everybody wants you to do.
I was thinking about this. So they were, of course, Dan Lanning was the guy that they all wanted. Then I felt like Sark was involved in there somewhere because he got the extension. And then who else was? Somebody else got an extension. Oh, it was Mike Norvell. And I'm like, it's so different when you go from a coach that was fired. Jimbo Fisher's fired. So Mike Elko walks in the door. Everyone's like, oh, Elko, you're our hero. You're our hero, Elko. Elko could go 9-3 next year, and we're all thinking, oh, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Depends on those three.
I agree. But generally 9-3,
We lose
you're
to the
thinking that's
Super Bowls again.
well, yeah. But if you go 9-3, you're like thinking, okay, there's progress there. If Kalen DeBoer is replacing the GOAT who didn't get fired, who just retired, who's still going to be in the building, if he goes 9-3, that fan base is going to be up in flames.
Oh yeah, Elko. I do feel bad for Elko too. Elko has to win one game.
Oh yeah.
He has to win the Texas game, or
Oh, yeah.
everyone will immediately hate him. And I feel bad for him because Texas is light years ahead of Texas A&M right now, like light years.
Portal could change that.
I'm not saying there's a lot of time between now and September. I'm saying right now, Texas is light years ahead of Texas A&M.
I agree. After watching that ball game, I agree. The crazy part about college football right now is like there's going to be all this speculation about X, Y, and Z team, and it's like we have no clue. We legit have no clue because there's so many players that are going to be like it's almost like the NBA now. Like if I went through an NBA roster right now, or if you went through a list of players, I could not tell you where those players play right now because everyone moves every year.
I know it's going to be crazy. Eventually, you're going to start seeing these guys in like the NBA or whatever, like pick the sport Hall of Fame, but the NBA is the one that came to my brain. They're going to make the Hall of Fame and they're going to like read out their like career and they're going to play it on 15 teams.
At least.
You never had that back in the day. Once again, another sign that our childhood is over. Like the guy playing for one team is just, it's
dead.
Gone. It's dead.
That'll never happen again, I don't think.
Let's just pray that Luka plays for the Mavs, Wemby plays for the Spurs, and those guys just never walk.
I just don't see it. I don't see it happening anymore.
Wemby's already hoping that he can go to LA.
I don't think he is. If Pop leaves, he might.
Give it time. I mean, Pop's going to leave before Wemby is done with his career.
Oh, yeah. I hope Pop leaves next year. I hope Pop's already done.
Wemby is 100% going to be playing he's going to be a Laker one day, guaranteed.
Oh, that's very possible. I thought Kawhi would be a forever Spur. So
because they can give him that max contract and do all the things, and it's going to be.
Actually, in the NBA, the NBA is actually set up to keep people. Like the team they play for can give them the most.
Yeah, the super max would. Yeah, but
it never happens.
You do the math. Like, how much of a difference is it? And also, the Spurs are just so bad.
Yeah, very bad. We have no players.
And living in San Antonio compared to living in Los Angeles.
Oh, I agree. I wouldn't move to San. I love the Spurs. I wouldn't live in San Antonio.
Yeah. All right. We just did like over 20 minutes on not the NFL, so that's not ideal. But you know, it was fun. It was good times. We didn't
talk about the coaching.
Yeah, we didn't release a college football episode, so there it was. The last thing is just, you know what? If Bill Belichick ends up as a Raider or a Charger, I'm just gonna quit.
He ain't gonna be a Raider.
I don't think he's gonna be a Charger either, because apparently Jim Harbaugh is gonna be there, which we'll talk about that in a second.
Raiders,
but
AB and we're getting
yeah, I do think that they're going to take Antonio Pierce. But if you're Bill Belichick and you want to win 15 games over the next 2 seasons, don't go play Patrick Mahomes.
I would think the Cowboys would be the move for him. I
The
don't want
Cowboys
Cowboys
should
to
be the
hire him.
move.
Let me be clear. I do not want the Cowboys to hire Bill Belichick. But that
But-
should be the move for him.
But the Cowboys is the move because the Cowboys go get 12 wins every year. So you're
He can be done.
guaranteed.
He can be done in a year and a half.
Yeah.
You would literally just end up with the same situation where the owner and coach hate each other.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I don't want the Cowboys to
He
hire.
doesn't
I don't
care.
know who I want the Cowboys
He's
to
just
hire.
trying to get through 2 seasons.
Yeah, he's got to get through 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta is going to be the hardest push for him because they're desperate.
Atlanta actually makes the most sense if you're Bill looking for the 15 wins because
NFC South.
they got third. They got third.
Yep.
So then they get to play all of the third place teams in the division next year. So they get to play so not only inside of your division, the NFC South is pretty bad. So you should win quite a few of those games. But also you get to play all of the third place teams from all of the other divisions. So that's also some pretty low talent. Like
Plus, the
you're gonna
Falcons have a talented roster besides quarterback.
and you get your one quarterback, and the question is, what's their cap space? Could they bring in Kirk Cousins? Because you get Bill Belichick with like Kirk Cousins with that roster, and you've got some
I
issues.
think they can because I heard people on local radio. I don't know if that even matters, but they were talking about Russell Wilson.
I mean,
which I don't know
the
if that
local
makes any
guy, the
sense,
local
but-
guys are probably going to know better than anyone. They're in and out of that locker room and going through. They talk to people that
Yeah,
are inside of the organization. So
They were heavily discussing Russell Wilson.
you give Bill Belichick Russell Wilson, I think they can also win 8 games for 2 consecutive years.
Probably.
All right, we only have 6 games to talk about.
And 5 of them were very boring.
Well, I got a lot to say about a lot of them, though. So
Me too.
There you go. Let's just go in order. Starting off with the Browns lost to the Strouds, the Texans. I mean, there's only one thing to take away from this game is that C.J. Stroud is not a rookie. I don't care what you tell me. He's not a rookie.
The first quarter, both teams were doing it, but the first quarter when they were just dropping dime after dime after dime, C.J. Stroud was unbelievable. Every time I thought the Browns might not make a run, but go ahead by a couple of possessions, it was like, nope, not again. C.J. Stroud, 60-yard bomb.
C.J. Stroud only threw 5 incompletions.
Did he have a perfect passer rating?
157.2. Isn't that not perfect?
Maybe it's like 162.3 is perfect or something like that.
Sure.
It's pretty close to perfect.
Whatever.
Ball.
It was very good. He was good.
He threw
good. He only had, this is the crazy part, playing against the worst defense on the road. I'm tired of everyone saying that it was the best defense. The Cleveland Browns defense was ranked 32nd in road games this year.
How
out
does
of
that
32.
even make sense?
I don't understand how that's possible. But that also shows you how freaking good they were at home, that they still ranked in the top 10 in defense overall, even though they were 32nd on the road and they were first at home. But that first at home was so much better. Like, they are terrible on the road. Their defense is bad on the road.
Defense is the one thing that you would think would just travel easily.
It's something about, it has to be with teams when they play in Cleveland did a silent snap count, and they were very good at reading the snap count when it was a silent snap count because they got no pressure in this game ever.
Yeah, CJ he could have stood back there all day long sometimes.
So it has to do something with their pass rush, in my opinion. But I could be wrong.
Myles Garrett didn't do a whole lot, but I've heard that he was very injured.
No, he's very injured. But they didn't really do a ton besides JOK or whatever his name is. That dude's a beast on defense. I'm not going to try to say his name, but he was everywhere. But yeah, CJ Stroud was all over the place. He only had to throw the ball 21 times, which is a great recipe.
Yeah.
And he threw 3 touchdowns and 274 yards. I mean, these guys were wide open everywhere.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. Literally, it felt like every throw was at least 25 yards and was wide, stinking open.
I mean, Nico Collins, everyone was talking about, man, without Tank Dell, they're going to struggle. Nico Collins was open anytime he wanted to be.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other side, we already mentioned it, but the other side of the quarterback dilemma was we got some classic Joe Flacco. I mean, he came out and Joe Flacco was dropping dimes at
He
the beginning of
was.
the game. He was just picking his spot, and then 2 consecutive drives with pick sixes. It's just great.
Yeah, that killed him.
Yeah, and then after that, the game was over. It was unfortunate because the game was close. I think it was 17-14, and then he threw the 2 consecutive pick sixes, and then it was just like, all right, this game's
Over, yeah.
over, done.
It's one of those things where you start, if you're Joe Flacco, when you're watching CJ Stroud like just throw for 300 yards, you're like, oh shoot, I got to do something here.
Yeah,
And then that's what happens.
The downside of the playoffs, which I love playoff football, it is typically better, although it might be even worse this weekend. But it's typically better football. But the thing that I don't like about it is that if it is not a good game, it's the only game that is on. So you
can't even flip the channel.
Yeah, you can't flip the channel to a better game. So that's unfortunate.
That's what I kept wanting to do. I kept wanting to flip the channel, and you can't do it. Typically, this was definitely a bunch of outliers, though. That doesn't typically happen, I don't feel like.
Yeah. The Texans defense also, they started slow. Obviously, the Browns, I think, scored touchdowns on their first 2 possessions. And then the Texans defense just set a line in the sand and was like, no. It was like that scene. It was like that scene in Remember the Titans when Coach Yost is like, they will not gain another yard. And that is what happened. It's just like, they were just like, nope, all right, we got this.
Very true.
What a freaking reference, Austin.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
What a freaking reference. Just pull that shit out.
If you don't watch that clip once a month during football season just to get you amped up, what are you doing with your life?
Everybody, can I introduce the high school teacher? Anytime we don't have a lesson plan, remember the Titans. Here we go.
That was great.
Oh, man, I wish.
Should have talked.
Yeah, I'm not a coach, so I can't get away with just playing videos all the time. They actually expect stuff from me.
That's bogus.
And your science, too, so you actually have to do something.
Well,
Michelle Obama's going to come after you.
That's true. They're already coming after me. They take away all the fun things from science. That's not important. The most important thing is looking ahead to this upcoming weekend. Can the Texans actually cause the Ravens problems?
They
played each other this year, did they not?
I don't know.
Oh, they played each other week 1.
What was the score?
25-9.
You can't take a whole lot from that.
He hadn't found his way yet.
I'd say CJ Stroud, week number 1 against that Ravens defense. Or just that Ravens team. Honestly, Lamar didn't even have that good of a game.
It could be a good game.
I think it could be a good game. I saw the line like 8.5. That seems a bit much to me.
It's like 10. It's like 9.5, 10.
The only problem is
I just saw it at 8.
When Lamar is hot, he is hot.
Lamar is cold. He has taken a couple weeks off.
It's
at 9.5 right now. What I'm looking at.
That seems very high.
The other game, San Francisco, is 8.5, right?
Nope, it's also 9.5.
Oh, why am I seeing 8.5 and 9.5?
I mean, good for you, man. Both of those games opened at 10-point favorites and have come down. So actually, early money is on the dogs. But that's because both teams played well, is the thing.
Yeah, so it's most likely an overreaction, in all honesty. But if D'Amico and CJ Stroud make the AFC Championship game, that'd be pretty unbelievable.
I'm rooting for him, obviously.
I'm too. I'm telling you, I'm the biggest Texans and Lions fan this next week.
Man, D'Amico Ryans almost should have got fired from their first drive of the season. Their first drive of the season, they went 4 plays for -2 yards because they went for it on 4th and 1 on their own side of the field when the score was 0-0.
Well,
and CJ Stroud took a -11-yard sack on 4th and 1.
He was
on his own side of the field.
He was setting the tone early.
Hey, maybe now CJ Stroud, like, that was the one sack he needed to take, and then he'll never take that type of sack again. In that situation, at least you got to throw it away and give it a chance.
Yeah,
they call official grounding.
Looking at the drive sheet, the Texans offense did not play well against the Ravens in week number 1. So I think that's why the line is so high.
It
But
does
I
seem
think we have a
bit high.
completely different CJ Stroud now. So
Yeah, it could be a good game. I'm afraid that it's going to be like one of those situations where they're on this high this past week, and then they just get absolutely their door knocked off.
nah, I'm hoping the Texans beat the Ravens because one, hilarious. We already talked about right now, anytime the Ravens could possibly lose a game is going to be the biggest fall because everyone's talking about like they're the greatest team ever. People are not talking about it as much anymore because we're now 2 weeks removed from them just beating the crap out of the Dolphins and the 49ers in back-to-back weeks. But there was a time when people were like, this might be the greatest team of all time, which is just stupid. But if they lose to the Texans, not only does that happen, and it's great and it's hilarious, but if the Chiefs beat the Bills, that would be 6 consecutive home AFC championship games, which would be awesome.
This is Pat Mahomes' first road playoff game.
No,
blows
It
my
is
mind.
Patrick Mahomes' first playoff game.
I'm just going to go
Road
ahead.
playoff game.
Austin, if you guys win the fucking Super Bowl, I'm going to be pissed.
I also will be. I mean, I'll be very happy,
Y'all have been
but we're
garbage.
terrible. We're bad.
If y'all win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be pissed. Like,
If we win the Super
y'all-
Bowl, we are the
y'all are
greatest sandbaggers of all time.
like, Jesus.
I mean, a lot of people say that our offense is bad, me included, because it is.
You guys played good this past week, but
No. Our offense plays very well until they get inside of the 20-yard line.
yeah.
And then everything falls apart. If all of a sudden the Chiefs can find out how to score in the red zone, watch out, everybody. Because, in our last, 4 games, Butker is averaging 5 field goals a game.
That's ridiculous.
I'm just saying, if y'all win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be pissed.
That's fair.
I
You're a
thought
Raiders
we-
fan. You should always be pissed when that happens.
I thought we were going to get a year where we weren't going to have to hear about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And
I mean,
Bills
you're never
appear-
gonna. I mean,
the Bills
why did you
appear to
think
be very
that
good.
the Chiefs were dating Taylor Swift? We're hearing about the Chiefs more than ever before.
Travis Kelce's dating Taylor
The
Swift.
No.
entire team.
The
Basically,
Chiefs organization and every single member of the fan base is dating Taylor Swift.
Austin's
Kinda-
blaming this.
I'm
Kinda
taking her
little
out in 2
true.
months.
a little true.
All right, let's get to the Chiefs game. Unless anyone had anything else to say about the Texans-Browns game.
No, I'm happy for the Texans. I'm happy for D'Amico.
I'm happy for the Texans.
I'm happy for the Browns too.
Yeah,
Like,
honestly.
Everyone
I
thought,
know.
I mean, the poor Browns didn't stand a chance. Their whole team is just obliterated all season long. They keep winning games. They get rid of their rapist, and they bring in wholesome Joe Flacco, and he wins games. I mean, it's good times. Good job,
Honestly,
Browns.
I heard
I
a
really
Browns
like
fan talking about it.
how it played out this year.
I heard what in
the
world
mix-
is that?
Dude, it's weird. It's this weird thumbs up again. Jonathan, is someone texting you a thumbs up and it's popping up on the screen?
No, it's not. I don't know.
I heard
My phone.
somebody
No.
I don't know. It's just funny.
weird.
Sorry, go ahead, Blake.
There was somebody talking. I think I was listening to
Regular
something,
thumbs
and they
up?
were talking about these Browns fans, and the Browns fans were sitting in the thing, being like, "You know what? We have Nick Chubb back next year."
I
You
mean,
know what? If Deshaun Watson can
honestly,
throw the football, you got him back.
if I'm the Browns, I'm doing everything I can to keep Joe Flacco.
They got to.
Because Deshaun, even when he was healthy, was not showing that it
Can
was
you
good.
imagine the Texans legit screwed the Browns so bad because they still have picks off that trade.
Yeah. I mean, the Browns are dumb.
Very dumb.
You can't trade for a guy who hasn't played in a year.
You
Well,
can't
you can't give
for-
him guaranteed money like that.
And yeah,
sexually harassed.
You
That
can trade
too.
for him, but don't give him that guaranteed money.
also, yeah, this right here, okay, for all the NFL players that listen to our podcast, I'm sure it's very numerous, that love to complain about why NFL owners aren't giving better contracts. This is why.
Oh yeah, the NFL players should be mad at Deshaun Watson because he kind of set the
Ruined
stage
it for everybody.
the owners no longer paying anyone like that.
Yeah, he ruined it for everybody.
Literally.
Now, granted, he has the best agent of all time.
No,
Yeah, but it'll never
he went
happen
against
again.
the dumbest owner of all time.
Yeah.
And
Besides
actually,
David Tepper.
I would argue that the agent actually did himself a disservice because now he'll never get that type of money ever again.
That's true.
All right, let's talk about the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Also happened on Saturday. What was it? 26-7 final score? Somewhere in that ballpark. It was ugly. Lots of field goals.
Dude, that game, I didn't watch that game.
You missed out.
Highlights. That game looked miserable to even be around.
Yeah,
It was
let's start
miserable
with
to watch on TV.
Let's start with the weather. It was rough.
Tyreek Hill put his hands in the freaking warmer when the ball was snapped. Like, the dude was running routes with his hands.
No, Jonathan, there was a time, and this happened to both Tua and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce had one. It was a high throw that he would have made 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
But you could see that the players were having to look at their hands to see where their hands were to try to catch it. Tua had a couple snaps where legit, if it wasn't right on the money, he couldn't look at his hands and try to catch the ball.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
Dude,
Mahomes was, the Chiefs threw the ball 41 times in sub-zero temperatures, which is just insane.
Which is ridiculous.
And Mahomes, for the most part, looked relatively unaffected, but just like Tua and him both have the same problem, and I'm sure it makes sense when your hand is numb, that they would throw the ball slightly high.
Oh, yeah. They were ducks.
All three of the drops that Travis Kelce had 3 drops in this game, and all of them he was wide open, and the pass was the same. It was just slightly too high, and a catch that if it was a normal game he would make every single game because Travis Kelce doesn't drop the football. Yeah. But you could just see he had no touch, like he couldn't feel his hands. But somehow Rashee Rice just kept snagging balls that were.
Rashee Rice was the only good receiver in that game, I swear.
Yeah, Rashee Rice was on fire, and he caught some lasers. Like Mahomes, he didn't lose velocity, he didn't lose spin on the ball, but sometimes it sailed a little bit, and that's understandable. I was still going to yell at him from my couch, but
even the Tyreek touchdown did not look right.
Oh, but that's every Tyreek touchdown from Tua. It's always underthrown, and Tyreek's got to run 10 yards backwards.
But even when Tyreek tried to catch the ball, it looked like he couldn't tell where exactly his body was. And then when he tried to run, it was almost like he was confused.
In the first quarter, you could tell all of the best Chiefs plays all came from routes that were like hitches or something where the receiver could catch the ball with his body. And that was a huge part of the game. And Tua, because they always throw that route over the middle. That always, when it's nice and warm, he throws it high. They go up and get it, and then they just fall right down. That just wasn't going to work because no one was ever going to catch that ball.
Well, my favorite,
especially if they were going to get hit.
My favorite was watching the highlights and realizing players were making legit career decisions on I'm not going to tackle you. I'm just not going to hit you.
The Chiefs didn't make that decision. The Dolphins might have. All you learned from that game is that the Dolphins are soft.
Dude, the Dolphins struggled.
I think we knew that. We knew they were soft.
Playing in the cold.
The Chiefs were not soft.
All right, allow me to be a hater real quick. Please allow me to be a hater.
Yeah, go for it.
I am totally on board with you got to play in the elements. That's football. You got to play in the elements. When it's 32 degrees, that's one thing. If Miami can't play in 32-degree weather, okay.
Tua is now 0-10 when it's 40 degrees or less.
And that's okay. But this game was negative 30-degree wind chill. That is insane.
Man,
I was like, we can't take anything. We cannot take anything from that game. There's nothing to take from it.
For sure. Also, this game should have been canceled.
100%.
If the Buffalo game is canceled, this game should have been canceled.
100%.
But
it was Peacock. They couldn't cancel the Peacock.
It was
game.
Peacock. Also, we can take something from this game. The Chiefs are not soft, which is a big deal in the playoffs.
I should rephrase what I said. We can take it. We can take something from the Chiefs. The Chiefs still played the game.
Yeah.
But when you're talking negative 30-degree weather, if you play bad in negative 30, I'm like,
Miami
I can't take much from the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they're bad. I don't think they're bad. They're soft.
No. They're not bad. They're not good
built
though.
for negative
They're not good
weather.
Either. They've also got some that game also exposed a lot of their major issues. specifically on offense.
I agree. I feel like people on TV were like overanalyzing it, and I'm like, I think it's almost as simple as it was negative 30 degrees, folks.
Yeah.
There was people legit in the stands that could have been dead.
I
They've
think
been frozen dead.
Yeah.
had like 4. I think I saw it today that like 4 people were taken to the hospital to treat hypothermia.
Well, because they kept taking their freaking shirts off. So
Yeah.
here is some insight from inside the stadium, because I know people who went to the game. Number one, they would not let you in the stadium if your skin was showing.
I saw that.
They literally,
crazy.
like, every single inch of your skin had to be showing to get into the stadium. Now, once you're in, that's whatever. Number two, beers were freezing. Alcohol was freezing.
Did you see? The beer wasn't like, I thought it was going to be like a slushy. That
No.
sucker was rock solid.
No, it was
You're
very
paying
solid.
$5 to have an ice cube.
It was rock
Also,
solid.
Anyone who didn't bring cardboard was an idiot.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I learned that on Sunday.
You didn't
or
know that?
Saturday.
Oh, no.
I'd never heard that in my life.
That's someone who's never been to Arrowhead in December and January. When you go to games when you're gonna stand on concrete when it's cold, you bring cardboard for insulation. Also, you put newspaper inside of your clothes for insulation.
Somebody informed me that's why homeless people always have cardboard, and I was like,
That's
whoa.
why they always have cardboard,
no
and that's why
clue.
they collect newspapers.
I had no clue.
Solid. This is logic. Our
Yeah.
viewers are getting logic here.
Also, don't drink alcohol. It will make you colder.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, can you even if the beer wasn't rock solid, can you even enjoy it when it's negative 30 degrees wind chill?
I feel like whiskey's the move there.
Or
liquor is definitely the move. Also,
have a hot toddy or something.
100%. You definitely had enough clothes on that you could smuggle in a whole handle of alcohol if you wanted to. Like, you're not drinking like a cold beer.
No.
It'd be great. It would be great though if the beer guy going up and down like the stadium instead of yelling cold beer was like hot chocolate. I got hot chocolate.
Hot beer for the warm beer.
Yeah. Serve it.
The frozen beer
European
blew my
style.
mind.
Give it some. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I don't know if y'all also saw the video of from the concession stand. They pulled the smart water out and it froze instantly.
But
like
we've known that for a while.
Well, that's just a classic science experiment. That's not how fast things freeze. But when I started seeing pictures of alcohol freezing, I was like, oh, it's cold. It's real cold.
The dude put his teeth into it to try to like show us how hard it was. That sucker was rock solid.
Yeah.
And then I saw a dude being like, well, you just haven't drinking it fast enough.
Yeah. The other thing that I took from this game, legitimate thing I took from this game is that the internet coaches, they're not going to do good. The Mike McDaniels of the world that are just good for the internet. You look at his play calling through that game, it's like 3rd and 14. Let's throw another screen. Let's throw another screen. Let's throw another.
They didn't trust two at all.
I'm sorry, but there gets to a point when you're in the 4th quarter and you're down 2 scores where you can't say, I don't trust him. Put in your backup then and throw it deep. Like you can't.
No, I agree. I think that was the biggest mistake he made was the fact that at some even in like the 2nd quarter, it was like at some point you got to start throwing the ball down the field.
It was like 4th. There was a play in the 4th quarter where it was 4th and 12, and they threw the ball 2 yards. Like,
didn't the final play they ran was like 4th and 16, and they threw it 8 yards?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that. Like, you get to a point where like McDaniel, you got to make an adjustment, and he did not do anything different the entire game.
Prove that you like even if you just throw if he throws an interception, you at least got to throw it down the field.
Yeah, it's like the Pittsburgh game the other day, which we'll get to it. But they're down 2 touchdowns with like 60 seconds left. There's like a minute left. At that point, in my opinion, every pass is a Hail Mary. You got to score twice.
Yeah.
So like, hey, it's going to take 7 seconds to run a Hail Mary. That gives us the chance to run it 4 times. Hopefully we catch one.
They nearly ran out of time on their first attempt to get to the end zone.
Yeah, I'm just like if you got a minute left and you're down 2 scores, if you're playing Madden, run 4 verticals on every play.
Yeah.
Just like send everybody deep. Like, don't try to like, oh, we'll just like do 20 yards at a time. That's not gonna do you any good. You're playing the clock, not.
Part of me was like, did Tua go up to him and be like, yo, I can't throw the ball?
Where's Skylar Thompson? I don't actually know who
I
their
agree.
backup is, but
I
like
think it is
someone.
Skylar. Or no, it's Mike White.
All right, where's Mike White? We know Mike White can chuck it.
Yeah, they lost me towards the end of the game because I was like, "There's no way they can even get into this."
Yeah, their defense was still very injured. So I mean, I give them a pass on that. I don't really think that they were going to stand a chance defensively anyway until
No,
we got to
they lost a ton of guys too.
Yeah.
They were ravaged.
Until we got to the red zone. Then obviously the Chiefs can't do anything.
I don't think we can take the Chiefs were tough and the Chiefs played well still. So like for them, great. But on the Dolphins, and I'm like, if that was any team that played bad, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. If you
can't take a
haven't
whole lot
watched,
from
if you
it.
haven't watched it yet, there's a great video to watch of of just the Chiefs. The Chiefs were ready to play. They know how to play in the cold, which is good because they got to go to Buffalo this week, and it's probably
Yep.
going to be cold again. But if you haven't seen L'Jarius Sneed against Tyreek Hill on this third down, where he just like he jams him off the line and he tackles him and just buries his butt in the dirt, it's great. It's great. Like he just like takes him and just goes boom, and Tyreek is cold and miserable and just falls over. And while he's on the ground, Sneed just jumps on his back. It's awesome. It's probably
not a good look for Tyreek.
Yeah, probably not legal, but it was good.
Yeah, that was like the play that encapsulated that game. It was like the Chiefs were gonna they're gonna knock you out still. The fact that Pat Mahomes' helmet broke on a like play that wasn't all that insane.
No.
Was like, okay, this stuff is crazy.
Yeah. All right, that kind of brings me to some other things that I saw from the internet this week on this game. Patrick Mahomes obviously is the big bad villain of the NFL. I understand that. He's the best quarterback. He's won the most Super Bowls recently, so everyone that's not a fan of the Chiefs wants to hate him. I get how that goes. But just like people are lying on the internet, which is what people do. Number one thing that's just insane that people are calling out for is that Mahomes should get fined for the hit that he breaks his helmet.
It wasn't even that crazy of a hit.
Which he should, because I agree with them, because the NFL this season has been ridiculous in just randomly fining players after the game. And if you watch the hit, both players duck their head. So Mahomes and the safety or whoever it was, sure. If they're going to do the fine for that, but like people being like, Mahomes is like, vicious or whatever for ducking his head. Idiots. The number two thing, and I wish Jonathan didn't drop out of the call because I would love to get the opposite fan of this. Everyone is talking about the personal foul roughing the passer, which I agree was a bad call. We were in our group text. I said it's not a good call. And so everyone is like, these are the calls that Patrick Mahomes gets all the time. Would anyone like to guess how many roughing the passers Mahomes got the entire season?
I'm going to say 3.
2, if you include the one from Saturday. So during the regular season, he got a roughing the passer call 1 time all year.
Pat Mahomes does not he's not one of the guys that gets a bunch of calls, I don't feel like.
He doesn't get a bunch of calls. Now, he does what every quarterback does, and he asks for calls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he asks for calls all the time.
Like in that game, there was the deep pass to McCole Hardman where he was like clearly held, and then he stopped running his route because he's got a loser mentality, and we can't have that, McCole. You got to keep running. But it was clearly pass interference. Everyone can see that it was pass interference. He stopped. And they didn't call it, and Mahomes comes running out and is like, why was there no pass interference? That's a bad look. It's not good, Mahomes, but also it's a bad look from the refs. It was clearly pass interference. But yeah, this whole thing that like Mahomes gets all these calls, he really doesn't.
No, I mean if that's Josh Allen in that situation, he's probably
Josh Allen, surprise, surprise. Josh Allen led the league in roughing the passer calls this year with 7.
And he gets a million personal fouls on plays where he's literally running QB draws.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. All right, speaking of Josh Allen and the Bills, the last thing I want to say about this game is we have the chance for poetic justice this upcoming weekend. And I hope it happens, not only because it benefits my team, but also I think it would be hilarious. It is possible that this Sunday night, the Bills and the Chiefs go to overtime. And the Bills get the ball first. And they score a touchdown. Because the Bills have petitioned that we have them, if they score a touchdown in overtime, because since that rule has changed, we have not had an overtime playoff game. And the Bills go to overtime, they go down and score a touchdown. And they don't win because of the rule change, and they have to kick the ball back to the Chiefs. And the Chiefs march down the field and score another touchdown. And they go for 2, and they win. If that happens at Orchard Park, it would be the most glorious thing that has ever happened and be so funny.
There'll be snowballs coming down.
Snowballs would be coming down, but it would just be poetic justice that the Bills whined about a rule that's existed for forever. And like it used to be just a field goal would beat you. And it's stupid. It's dumb. The Bills are a bunch of crybabies.
I am a fan
about a lot of things.
So I'm a fan of the rule change.
You're a fan of it gives an advantage to the team who has the ball second, not first.
Yeah.
No,
that's
because they get to go.
That's the same way in college.
Yeah, but it's significantly different.
Agreed. I like both teams having a chance though, because if
both teams have a chance if you hold them to a field goal.
I agree. I agree. But also, if two offenses are going nuts, and then Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen gets the ball, and it's like, oh well, they're going to score, and they do, and the game's over. Like, I wish I could have seen Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes. Granted, this is coming from a person
that's great.
that will never have a team in overtime of any playoff game.
That's true, and that it would have been great if that game would have went. It would have been great if that game would have went on for forever because they would have always kept scoring.
As a neutral observer, that's all my.
Also, most of the times that go to overtime aren't high-scoring games.
No, yeah, they're not.
Usually, they're the low-scoring, close games where it's 17-17.
Yeah, I agree. I like both teams having a chance still, but I do agree. It probably
the reason why it's different. The reason why it's different than college football is because on college football you start on the 25-yard line. So really, the big difference is that you get to change whether or not you go for 2 if you score a touchdown. In professional football, they get 4 plays every single drive to go down. So they have a humongous advantage to go second, which in the regular season, you want the ball first, which is what they'll choose. I guarantee if a game ever goes to overtime in the playoffs, whoever wins the coin toss is going to choose to go second.
For sure. As they should.
And if they don't, that's coaching malpractice. So yeah, there's that. Cool. Let's keep it moving. Let's get the next game that happened. And we're just going to have to open up the floor here to Blake. Was the Packers just absolutely kicked the crap out of the Cowboys in Dallas, where the Cowboys had won 16 consecutive games.
Yeah, that was about the biggest buzzkill of a game that could have existed. I was pretty pumped about it. I did say last week that I was like, for some reason, I feel like I should be nervous, for some reason I am nervous, but I don't feel like I should be. And in the second quarter, I literally looked at Sarah and said, "This is over."
I told my sister, who's a big Cowboys fan, to be wary of the Packers. I really thought it was going to be a shootout because the Packers defense has been quite terrible. Now, the last 2 weeks they've played well, but before that, they gave up 30 points to the Panthers, who've been shut out twice in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So the Packers defense has this season been quite bad. But their offense is very good, especially when Aaron Jones is playing, and the Cowboys' defense is bad. So I was like, hey, I think the Cowboys will win, but it's going to be like a 42-40 kind of game. It's going to be very high scoring. Beware.
The worst part about it to me was the fact that the last couple seasons, I've been a Dak defender for a long time, up until literally Sunday. Yeah. There's been times where where Dak will play well, but there's some boneheaded decision that they lose the game on or ends the game for that matter. Maybe they don't lose on it, but it ends the game.
Yeah.
And this game, that didn't even exist because Dak was so bad in the first half.
His boneheaded decision that ended the game were the 2 picks.
Yeah, oh yeah.
One was a pick 6, and the other one was a pick on the 10-yard line, so it might as well have been a pick six. Honestly, if those two if Dak doesn't throw picks, that game is close and is
It's a 7-point game in the fourth quarter.
like it's close.
I think, Blake, I've been preaching it since you lived in Dallas. Dak ain't the guy. He's another promo. The Cowboys are constantly going to choke in the playoffs, and they'll never be good in the playoffs.
We're going to have a rare switch of fortune here, or like of stories. Dak was a problem in that game. He was a problem. I don't think he is the problem that the Cowboys had this year.
I don't think he's the problem. I think he is a problem, but I think he's a big enough problem to too many problems to cause problems for that team.
I'll tell you what.
The problem is I don't think you can replace him because I think Dak is a really good quarterback. I just don't think Dak's a winner.
Dak is not a winner.
I think Dak,
when it comes down to it,
when it matters. Dak was the number one team in college football when he was at Mississippi State, and he choked when it mattered. Dak just doesn't win big. He can't win big games.
That's a problem with the Cowboys as well.
He's Tony Romo.
I saw a depressing stat that since like 2002, the Texans have, which is probably when the Texans became a franchise, the Texans have 5 playoff wins and the Cowboys have 4.
Yep. The stat that the Cowboys fans should have been recognizing is I saw this week that in the last, now with this past game, in the last 20 meetings between Green Bay and Dallas, Green Bay has won 17 of them.
Oh, hey, yeah. Jonathan, let me tell you something worse. You know who has the most playoff wins in AT&T Stadium? The Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay Packers. Well, I won money on it because I knew that the Cowboys were going to choke.
That's fair.
I thought they would choke next week. Next week.
Oh, I thought they would get slaughtered by like who would they play? The Lions? I thought the Lions, would maybe get revenge. The problem with Dallas's offense, besides the fact that Dak can't play in the playoffs, they can't run the ball anymore. And that's what makes Dak worse. Like Pollard is not a number one. He's not.
Clearly not.
And I mean, they got nothing out of their run game. And I'm just telling you, watch. Next week, the Packers are going to play San Francisco, and San Francisco is going to rush for 200 yards.
They're just going to run it down.
Probably.
Because that's what they do every time they play. San Francisco
it's be the most depressing thing.
We are going to bully you, and they will.
They're just not running down their throat.
Yeah, and the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I put them in the same category as the Dolphins. They're soft because the Cowboys cannot run, and they also cannot stop the run.
No, that's what killed them. The whole game was like it'd be 1st and 10. Well, Aaron Jones went off, but also it'd be 1st and 10, and they'd let him run. They'd let Aaron Jones run for 7 yards. It's like on 2nd and 3, Jordan Love's going to pick you apart.
Yeah, I was gonna say once you give, as Chris Collinsworth would say, if you watched football on Sunday night again with the Rams versus the Lions, we got a 2nd and short here. This is a shot play. We got a shot. I mean, you're just giving the offensive coordinator 2nd and 3.
Every shot play.
You got too many options. You can continue to run the ball and get the first down, or you can do your play action and get. I mean, if you're in 2nd and short, you're in trouble as a defense.
I'm not gonna lie. I was still not believing in Jordan Love. I'm a full-blown believer.
No, I think Green Bay, the league needs to pay attention.
No, everyone, it's not just Green Bay, though. Look at all of the quarterbacks that are, like, for the most part, really successful right now. They all sat. Patrick Mahomes sat under Alex Smith, and, like, hey, he's pretty good. Jordan Love sat. He's pretty good. And
there was people saying Jordan Love didn't know how to play football like 8 months ago.
Yeah, all of these guys that are just getting thrown to the wolves, and they're just getting wrecked every year.
Killed every year.
And guess what? Dallas right now, honestly, Dak Prescott is going to continue to be your guy. But
McCarthy's not.
But you need to draft Dak's replacement.
Yeah, I think that's got to be in the conversation.
Like you need, like all of these teams that have a quarterback, all they do is they wait until they don't have. If you're drafting when you don't have a quarterback, you're in trouble. You're just going to continue to not have quarterbacks.
In that situation, though, I feel like you can find a dude like late second round, third round.
Yeah.
That's what Dak was.
He's fourth.
And you can let him sit there for a bit and learn.
Now, Dak had to come in early because of an injury, but he would have sat. And then Dak was fine because their run game was ridiculous. It was just like Troy Aikman back in the day. Like Patrick Mahomes has already like beat all of Troy Aikman's records. He's been in the league for like 6 years because Troy Aikman just handed the ball off.
I was gonna say he did have Emmitt Smith, so.
Hey, you know who has his son now?
A&M does.
A&M.
His daughter played for the soccer team.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his son.
The whole Smith family. Yeah, that was a disappointing game. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of knew that the Cowboys might be a little fraudulent, kind of like the Dolphins, but in my heart, I was still like, they've played pretty dang well at home. They got a chance at home.
Yeah, I really did. I really thought that their defense wouldn't play that bad.
The defense was terrible.
Once again, hey, Micah disappears.
He didn't do anything.
Dude, he's so. We've been preaching it for months now. The guy is easy to game plan against. He just steers back and runs forward.
Also, I learned something that I did not learn. And you know what? I should have known. I should have read the rule book closer. The reason why Micah Parsons doesn't get any holding calls called against him is because his signature move is a rip move. Did you know in the rule book that it says that if a defender does a rip move, it cannot be holding? They have given up the right to be held.
I learned that this weekend, and that was the most shocking thing of all time to me. But that's why you see so many defenders on the edge literally being pulled backwards. It's because they can do it.
It's because it's allowed.
I did not know that.
So, as a fan, there are so many times that you'll see people like tweet out, like, look at this egregious hold. It's not holding.
It's not holding because you did a rip.
It happened in a couple games this weekend, and I was like, this is mind-blowing to me.
Hey, Dan Quinn, can you teach the guy another move? He's athletic enough to have another move.
Well, yeah. Doesn't do anything but that.
Like, teach him, like Hutchinson and Watt have dirty spin moves. Teach him the Von Miller ghost move. Like, Micah, learn something new, dude.
I feel like Max does something different every freaking time.
Well, don't do a rip move because you can get held.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowing to me. I think I read a tweet that said that, and I was like, what?
I never knew.
Sense.
There's a former Chiefs offensive lineman that
Schwartz, is that who tweeted it?
Yeah, Mitchell Schwartz. Yeah, and then there's a bunch of other guys that, he's always retweeting or stuff. And so I saw that he like retweeted or reposted or whatever you're supposed to say on X now.
Yeah,
he retweeted somebody else, like posted the clip, like the excerpt from the rule book, and was like, yeah, I don't know why everyone keeps complaining. Like, it's in the rules. And I was like, dude, because no one knows the rules. We didn't play in the NFL.
Nobody's ever said that on our broadcast, ever.
I don't think you know that rule.
That should have been said on our broadcast by like McCall.
Exactly. These are the things, and this is the one thing that I love about listening to Michael Lombardi compared to like other people. Michael Lombardi, there's a lot of things that he says I disagree with. But one thing that I love that he says is that the broadcasters aren't doing a good job and most of them are all terrible anyway, but like they're not telling us the things that we don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's what we need as fans to know of, like, hey, that's not holding because this is what it says in the rule book. Or like, if they're going to bring in Gene or Terry McCauley or whatever, like bring them in on plays that are not controversial where people are saying like, hey, that looks like holding to me, and have Gene be like, it's not holding because of this.
Yeah, it happens every single week on Twitter.
I don't need to know that someone is 6'4" and 235 and runs a 4.40. Those numbers mean nothing to me. What I need to know is like, hey, this is the route that he was running, and this is what he was looking at and what he was trying to do. Like, give me more insight.
Yeah, like before the ball snapped, if you're Tony Romo, you can't tell me you can't sit there and be like, all right, well, he's seeing like a cover 2 here. So what would make sense is to do this. Like,
Yeah, and I do feel like they do a good job of the pre-snap stuff, but
Yeah.
like show me in the replays or like, you know, in the controversial or the big plays, or I don't know. They need to do I need to hear less of, well, he's from, you know, he grew up in this hometown and he lost his dad when he was 15. Like I'm sorry.
The tragic tractor incident.
I care less about their personal lives, and I'm trying to learn more football.
Yeah, I was mind blown when I read that, and I was like, "Why?" We know this happens every week on Twitter, where somebody's like, how did you not call this obvious holding call? So how the next week when it happens do we not say, "Yo, this is why this is not a holding call"?
Yeah,
it was quite shocking. I did not know that, and I see defensive ends do rip throughs. I feel like every single play.
Yeah,
they got to stop doing that.
Or if you're gonna do it, like
there's got to be a specific situation.
You got to be guaranteed that you're gonna win that. Like it's gonna work and you're gonna get through.
Yeah, because you legit have to get by him if you do that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there you go. For if you hey, if you learned something right now, like the video, okay? Like the video of you just learned that, you know, rip moves let you get held, and that's fine.
It's a good thing to know because
it's a good thing to know.
I'll be yelling sometimes.
I guarantee you, it'll change your experience of watching football because, you know, my in-laws or not. That's a weird way to say. My sister and her husband and my wife are all Cowboys fans, so every Sunday we watch the Chiefs and the Cowboys, and the whole season, all we did. If you watch Micah Parsons, he looks like he's being just molested on every play, and you just realize he's just rushing the passer really stupidly.
Yeah, which
so
I'm almost wondering if some of the D coordinators didn't even know this.
It's possible. I apologize to the NFL referees for the amount of yelling I did about Micah Parsons at my TV screen. I'll put my hand up.
Too.
That's on
I'm
me.
there too.
Now, when Chris Jones is rushing from the center and has obliterated the right guard, and the guy is completely behind him with two hands on his waist pulling him, that's a hold, ref.
Yeah.
Call those ones. All he wanted was $1 million.
He finally got it.
Thank God. He got it, but it took 3 quarters.
Luckily, he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, thankfully. All right, let's move it on. There was one good game this weekend. It was on Sunday night. It was the Lions versus the Rams.
Go Lions.
We're going to do something kind of weird here. I actually don't want to talk about the Lions first. I want to talk about the Rams first.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford is a weapon.
That dude is unbelievable.
I would love to know how injured he is. Does he have broken ribs and a broken hand right now? There's no way he doesn't.
He was barely moving at the end of the game. So
I mean, like he looked like Michael Penix trying to walk off the field at the end of the game.
It was kind of a throwback to his Detroit days, though. There was a couple games in Detroit where he'd literally be knocked out on the ground.
Yeah.
And then his lineman would pick him up, and he'd be like, "No, I'm good. No, I'm good." And I think one game he did that, and then he threw a touchdown pass to win the game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Somehow Matthew Stafford doesn't get a roughing the passer when he gets his head. Literally, his eyeballs are rolled back into his head. He doesn't get that call. Josh Allen gets that call.
He gets obliterated. He's on the ground just.
Yeah.
And they pick him up, and he's like, "No, I can throw. I can throw."
And he does.
Stafford is
he's a different person.
He is because, and also when he has the ball, it's different than when Pat Mahomes has the ball, right? We all know Pat Mahomes is electric. Pat Mahomes is going to use his legs to get through places. Matt Stafford is going to be all arm, and he is going to throw the ball with precision, and it's going to be ridiculous.
He threw maybe 6 no-look passes that were all right on the money. Some of the arm angles he's throwing with are – I mean, ridiculous. Matthew Stafford is just your ideal 2010 quarterback.
He really is. He's exactly what I want in a quarterback.
Now, for nowadays, you need a little bit more mobility. I'm not saying you need Lamar Jackson levels of mobility, but to be the perfect quarterback nowadays, you need a little bit more mobility than Matthew Stafford, and definitely some better decision-making because he likes to throw some picks every once in a while. But, I mean, Matthew Stafford was incredible to watch in this game. Puka Nacua was just all over the place. They couldn't cover him.
He's a beast. He's a beast.
He's so good. He's so good. But the most criminal thing about this game This game didn't hit the over. There were like 7 consecutive touchdown drives, and they still didn't hit the over.
What did the game start out in the first quarter? It was 10-7 or something, and then the first half was at 17-14.
I think it was even higher than that.
It didn't hit the over.
The Rams, there was only 9 points scored in the second half. 6 by the Rams and 3 by the Lions.
All field goals.
All field goals. There were no touchdowns in the second half. Where's the right thing to go to for this? It was 21-17 at halftime, and they didn't hit the over.
That is criminal.
They needed 12 points in the second half to hit the over, and they got 9.
I will say that game had me a little nervous as a lifelong Lions fan since Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Since about 8 p.m. on Sunday. At the end of the game.
Where Puka definitely was pass interfered in field goal range. Yeah.
And the Lions went 3 and out before that. I started thinking to myself, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Stafford's about to dice these fools up.
There were some issues that I had with this. Number one, Sean McVay, terrible clock management in the second half. You can't punt that ball if you only have 1 timeout. You can't. That sorry.
You gotta make sense. Yeah.
You gotta go for it. You only have 1 timeout. They only need a first down, and the game's over.
Plus, you're playing against Dan Campbell, who's going to go for it on 4th down, or he's going to throw the ball on 2nd down.
And what a route and throw and just all.
Yeah,
I mean, kudos to the Lions. The Lions played great, except for in the second half. Their offense was terrible in the second half.
They did enough to win the game.
I mean, the tweet that I love the most is one of the NFL insiders tweeted out the Lions got the ball back with just over 4 minutes left, and they just said 4 minutes left. Like 4-minute drill to end the game. This is what the Lions have prepared themselves for all year. And they did. They made it look so easy. Like they needed 2 first downs. They needed 2 first downs to win the game, and they got them simple. Like they made it look simple.
The other thing is no other coach in America is throwing it on 2nd and 9 with a minute at the 2-minute warning, with the other team only having 1 timeout left.
Yeah.
And Dan Campbell does it and wins the game.
Yep.
It is funny to think back like 3 years ago when Dan Campbell was doing the biting kneecaps, beating you up, whatever, and everyone in sports media was kind of like being like, yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it. Every single thing Dan Campbell has done is kind of what he said he'd do.
Yeah. That kind of jumps ahead to I mentioned a little bit earlier. This first round of the playoffs proves to you good coaching matters.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that build a culture, like who cares who can call the best X's and O's on like paper? The Nick Siriannis, the Mike McDaniels of the world. I'll even say it. I will go out on all of the limbs. Kyle Shanahan, even though they have one of the 2 best teams this year, they won't win the Super Bowl because Kyle Shanahan is only known for drawing up good plays. He's not a good head coach. He's a good play caller. He's blessed.
That's bold.
He
strategy.
is blessed with talent. The San Francisco 49ers will not win the Super Bowl. I feel so confident.
Hey, we'll write that down.
I mean, yeah.
I'll clip it for freezing cold, whatever.
Put me on freezing cold takes. That's fine. Please put us on freezing cold takes and like blow up our podcast. I would love that. But yeah,
I agree with you though. Coaching is so important, and
coaching is way more important than play calling.
It's so predictable too. One team lost at home this weekend, and who was it? The team with the idiot head coach, and we all know he's an idiot.
Yeah,
so we keep allowing him to head coach.
Now, does every good coach win? No, definitely not.
I'd say McVay's a pretty good coach.
Or does I would say McVay is a great coach. He made a
couple bad decisions, but
he also got a little unlucky. They had some drives stalled on some penalty kind of things. Drives didn't get extended on penalty things. But like Sean McVay and his defensive team, they made huge adjustments at halftime, and they held the Lions to 3 points.
Yeah, they just
in the second half.
Couldn't do a whole
and
lot.
then just their offense. The difference in this game was the Rams did not score touchdowns in the red zone, and the Lions went 3 for 3 in the red zone and scored touchdowns. Yeah. Because if you look at every statistic from this game, I actually wrote this as a question. Did the right team win? No. The Rams should have won this game. They just weren't good in the red zone, and so then that's why they lose.
You got to be happy for the city of Detroit, though.
I am happy. I'm just saying, if you watch the game, the Rams were the better team, but the Lions won the game, and that's fine. Good for Detroit.
There was 1,000 times in that game where you're like, oh, if this is the Lions 4 years ago, they would have lost this game 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But Dan Campbell's team just seems to, like, they are tough for whatever reason.
I hope they keep it going.
I do too.
I also hope that they don't have to play the 49ers because the 49ers will steamroll them.
Well, that may happen. Yeah, their defense is still bad.
I don't know. I have this feeling in my gut that the Packers are going to beat the 49ers this weekend. I don't know what it is.
I would laugh.
It makes no sense because the
ridiculous.
49ers always trounce the Packers, just like the Packers always beat the Cowboys. So I should be on Team San Francisco. But for some, I just have this feeling. The Packers look good.
They look legitimately good.
Nope. Give me the 49ers.
They look legitimately good, though. Jordan Love looks legitimately good. Matt LaFleur is a good coach.
I think overall roster, 49ers.
Oh, agreed, 100%. Jordan Love doesn't have a receiver that's in his third year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. It makes no sense. I just have a feeling in my gut that the Packers somehow go to San Francisco, win a game.
I would love to see it. That'd be hilarious.
All right. Let's talk about the weakest game of the week. The Bills got the game moved to Monday. So we had a game 3:30 on MLK Day, which, you know what? Some of us are blessed with jobs that don't have to work on MLK Day, but not everybody. Pretty sure MLK says in his speech that he has a dream that there are no playoff games during a work day during the middle of the day.
That's a
pretty
fact.
Sure it's
and
part
also,
of the speech.
The saddest part of it, when I was driving to work in the morning, it usually takes me a little bit to get to work. Monday morning, I was just free driving. That sucker, I didn't see another car on the road, so I know I was the only dude working.
Yeah.
I know. I had a nice little snow day, so I watched the game.
Yeah,
well,
good for you. And you know what? I feel bad for the people of Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh stood a chance in that game if it was a snowy, ugly game. But then the NFL has to accommodate their golden boy, Josh Allen, because he's on the cover of Madden.
To be fair, it was actually Kathy Hochul.
Austin hates
blame her.
Allen's so bad.
No. I don't hate Josh Allen, but I like moving on. There are things that I hate about Josh Allen. It's in the script. We'll talk about it. Josh Allen is so good. He's so fun to watch play football. I love watching Josh Allen play football. Do I hope he ever wins a Super Bowl? No. I would love for the Chiefs to win all the Super Bowls. But Josh Allen is great. He is fun to watch. Let's just get right into it. I've said it once. I'll say it again. Josh Allen is a bitch, and I hate watching him play football because he throws his head back. Leads the league in roughing the passer calls because he throws his head back. He did a fake slide and scored a 52-yard touchdown, and then later in the game, the defense has to play for the fact that he's going to do a fake slide. He actually does slide, and he got a 15-yard penalty where he got hit in his belly button. The contact was on his belly button, and Josh Allen still threw his head back and got the penalty.
And it wasn't even a hard hit. The dude pulled up.
The dude pulls up and everything. So Josh Allen is a bitch. I'll say it again.
I think it was just more of a stutter step than a
Nope.
He leans. Sliding.
He leans and everything. It's a fake slide.
Move. That was the Kenny Pickett move.
It was the Kenny Pickett move.
Honestly, the refs do a terrible job there. That should have been a 15-yard penalty.
Is that a penalty?
Yeah, Kenny Pickett got called for a penalty.
I don't think he did.
Yes, he did. You go watch it.
No,
Kenny Pickett got called for
the college.
I thought they were saying the college one he didn't, because I remember them saying that they should make that a rule because it was kind of cheating.
They did.
Sorry, Kenny Pickett was the first one to do it when he was at Pitt, right?
Yes.
Someone did it the next year, and it had been added to the rule book that it was a penalty.
It should be.
I mean, like, I'm all for. I love the fact that the NFL wants more points. More points is more exciting.
You got to give.
We are making it to where the defense can't play defense.
Can we agree though? If it's a QB draw, you're no longer protected. You should not be protected.
That too.
Like
Also,
if you're running QB run plays, you should always put your running, just run the Wildcat and just have your running back slide, get hit, and then it's a penalty every single time.
Yeah. My other thing, and this is not Josh Allen, but it happened because of Josh Allen. But I've been saying it for forever. I love the QB sneak. I love the tush push. It's great. There is only one downside to the tush push and the QB sneak. It's impossible to get the quarterback on the ground. So if you stop them initially, they get a second and a third and a fourth push, and they eventually get it. There's a play in the Pittsburgh-Buffalo game where Josh Allen jumps and just gets obliterated and lands on top of everybody. And then because there's just a pile of bodies, he's able to reach the ball forward. So it's
also there was one where he ended up lateral, like he was lateral to the ground, and the whoever was behind him, I can't remember who it was, just pushed his body forward, and he just happened to get it. He got stopped on that one too.
Correct. I think that I don't want to get rid of the tush push or get rid of the QB sneak because I know that the rules committee is going to look at that next year. What I want the rules committee to look at is say, hey, if you are in a formation and you can set up whatever the formation needs to be, if you're in a formation that is going to be a QB sneak scenario, you get one push and that's it. It's just mono. You get one push. If you get it, they blow it. Like you get one push and the refs blow it dead.
I'm for that.
Because the Eagles will still get it 99% of the time. The Bills will still get it 99% of the time.
The problem is the defenders can't grab him.
You can't grab him, and you literally cannot get his body to touch the ground because there's 22 people underneath him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a fan of the one. You get one attempt at it basically, and then it's dead.
Yeah, you get one push, blow the whistle.
Thank you to the Bills though, because they eliminated the most boring team in the history of all football. But I wish never made the playoffs. And
you haven't watched the Steelers recently.
Oh my gosh, they're the worst team to watch.
No, recently, once they made the switch to Mason Rudolph, they threw the ball deep.
I freaking hated. Well, before that, they were the worst team to watch.
Before the Mason Rudolph switch, it was rough to watch the Steelers play football. I do also feel bad for Pittsburgh. Like, they didn't stand a chance without TJ Watt playing. Like,
no, they were another team that had some injuries.
No.
Like, no chance. I'm sorry. And they made it a game. It was legitimate.
They made it a game. If if Rudolph doesn't throw the pick in the end zone, like, that's a legit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a legit chance that game comes down to the wire. But it didn't. The one thing I will say, everyone kind of like at one point was kind of harshing on, the Buffalo Bills fired their offensive coordinator halfway through the year. And they were their offense was playing good, but it was their defense that was playing bad. That was a good decision. No, I mean, they were still scoring points. That was a good decision because the Buffalo Bills now run the football. The Buffalo Bills are no longer soft. James Cook is a monster.
McDermott saved his job with that move.
Yeah. James Cook is really good. I will tell you right now.
Looking real good.
I will tell you right now. The reason why the Bills will beat the Chiefs this weekend is not because of Josh Allen.
That's probably better for the Bills if it's not because of Josh Allen.
It is
only because that means they won't lose because of Josh Allen too.
Number 4 is going to be the player who beats the Chiefs, not Josh Allen.
I could see that.
Now,
100%.
Josh Allen will have his plays, but the Chiefs can't stop the run. And Buffalo, if Joe Brady has proven that if the run is working, he will stick to it.
Yeah.
And
he's done really well after. Everyone kind of wrote him off after Carolina, but he's done pretty good for Buffalo.
He's a great OC. Maybe just stay being an OC.
And not, that won't happen.
On the same thought of that, I think Slovic should also stay at an OC.
Some of these dudes should, but Slovic's going to get one of these jobs. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get the job, but like, does anyone really want to go be the Carolina Panthers head coach right now? Like,
heck no, you're going to be gone after a year or two.
If my option was, hey, I could go to Carolina or I could stay at Houston with CJ Stroud and this amazing team, yeah, do that. Because next year a better job will open up.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, we got a little bit of respite back because the Eagles just got trounced by the
They're
Bucks.
terrible. They're terrible.
How
What
do you
happened
go
to them?
from 10-1 to just 1-7 after that? 1-6.
1-6?
1-6? Okay.
1-6. What in the world happened? Like, how did that happen?
No, they're 1-7 with the
It was
playoff, right?
1-7, yeah. It was 1-6 before the playoffs, I guess.
Their defense was bad. Like, their defense going into week 12 was one of the best defenses in the league. All of a sudden, they forgot how to tackle.
Yeah, what in the world happened?
If you haven't watched the Eagles versus Bucks game, go watch it again. Just go watch the 15-minute highlights on the NFL YouTube. And just in the highlight video, count the missed tackles. Like easy
Bradbury
tackles.
had 8 on his own.
Yeah, Bradbury sucks.
He's terrible.
I could have told you that.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Maybe it was a holding call in the playoffs. Maybe. Thoughts, Eagles fans, now that you've seen how your secondary actually plays? Maybe it was a holding call in the Super Bowl last year?
It doesn't even make sense how they just became so bad.
And then we hate to be the people that told you so. We kind of told you a while ago. Jalen Hurts is not the guy, and I'm glad the Eagles paid him. I'm so glad they paid him. He's not the guy. I'm sorry, he's not.
It feels like
he's not.
That team doesn't like him.
Did you see their sideline?
Yeah, I mean, Goddard's yelling at him. Jalen Hurts, I mean, you can't like him. Jalen Hurts came out in an interview and called out the entire team.
Plus, when Goddard's yelling at him, he's literally staring into space and does not react at all.
Yeah. There's a reason why the guy got benched at Alabama for Tua. He's not the guy, and they paid him like he's the guy.
I'm standing on the fact that I think the Super Bowl and Sirianni's first year, or whatever it was the worst thing that ever happened to the Eagles.
Yeah, okay, while we're on the topic, does Sirianni get fired?
I don't think you can fire him.
I don't think you can either, but
I think you're fine.
All of Philly wants him fired. I don't see how you can do it.
Now, by week 6 of next year, he might be fired.
Yeah, I think he's on a warm little stool there, but I don't know that you can fire him. He went to a Super Bowl last year.
Yeah. But he also has proven that
ideal to fire him now, though. You got a lot of coaches that
but the problem with that is you fire a guy a year after the Super Bowl. He made the playoffs. He's made the playoffs every year. So these coaches are going to be like, what do I have to do?
Yeah, like you can't have like Vrabel's not going to be over there like, well, like what's the promise that I'll get of job security because you don't have any.
Yeah, that's what I think about Carolina too. Like, who would want to go there? You're going to be gone after 2 years if you don't win 10 games in a season, and they don't have the roster to do that.
No,
if that dude Tepper is a crazy maniac. He's going to fire.
He is crazy. He might throw a drink in your face too.
Seriously, like why would you want to coach there?
Now, I also think at the same time, if we lived in the perfect world and like, you know, you could get a great head coach who will trust that you will give them the job security, Nick Sirianni should be fired because he is a bad coach.
Agreed.
He got lucky last year. He's got a great roster. You turn that roster into that team that we saw at the end of the year, you're a bad coach. And
yeah,
he's another just internet coach. He's known for his sound bites and what he'll post on Twitter and those kind of things. He's not actually a good coach during the game.
Which is good it's all good when you're winning. When you start losing and those things happen, it's no longer that.
Correct. Mike McDaniel is the coolest coach in the NFL until he loses.
Yeah, then it's not.
Then you're just like, this guy's a loser.
Yeah, that's the only problem with those situations.
Yeah. I would also like to once again point out for like the third podcast episode in a row that the Eagles season fell apart once Nick Sirianni told the lovely people of Arrowhead Stadium to fuck off. So
yeah, I forgot about that, and I saw that video.
I saw it today.
I mean, besides the fact that I'm obviously going to take great offense to that. Name me a good head coach
that does that.
that would ever do that. Like Belichick, Andy Reid, Tomlin, none of those guys. Now, if someone is like directly in their face, maybe they'll say something, but no one is just in an empty tunnel screaming up at the stands just for the video on the internet. That's Bush League.
It's a bad look.
It's a bad look.
I like your head coach to have emotion, but you got to have a little more.
There's a difference. Look at Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is an extremely emotional guy. He has cried. He has like yelled at
nearly
officials.
cried on Sunday.
Yeah, he's an extremely emotional guy, but he's a good head coach because all he is worried about is building a culture and building his team to win games. He's not worried about play calling.
He's not doing clicks.
He's not doing it for the clicks. He's a genuine guy. I would say the same thing with Pete Carroll. I hate Pete Carroll. He's the bad guy in all of my life. However, he's also a very weird guy. But he's a very genuine weird guy, and his players always buy in.
He's definitely eccentric.
He's eccentric. He's always chewing the biggest piece of gum. He's always saying these weird analogies and things, but players relate to him even at 72 years old. He still understands 25-year-old black guys better than anyone else on the planet.
Taking his shirt off for Metcalf.
Like, I mean, he's a fun dude.
Yeah.
And the players get it, and they like it, and they buy in.
I agree.
I agree, too. I think if Sirianni didn't make the Super Bowl last year, he'd be gone.
I think the players don't like Jalen Hurts, and I don't think they like Sirianni either.
I don't think they like Jalen Hurts either. I got that since, like, last night. If it was just Sirianni, I think you would see, like, the players kind of rally together even without Sirianni because they're good enough to win individually.
For sure.
But they didn't even do that. Like, they were yelling at each other on the sidelines. Kelsey looked like he was just, like, dead.
Oh, yeah. Like, midway through the third quarter, just like Kelsey looked like he was going to cry on every play.
Yeah, he looked like he knew he was done.
Yeah. I think that it is good that Jalen Hurts and the Tim Tebows and those kind of guys of the world, they're good, strong Christian guys in the NFL and are good role models. However, they do show the holier than thou attitude in the locker room is a bad look, and it will not ever work.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work.
It doesn't work for a reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't work when you have a strong moral compass, a belief in faith. You're really just not going to get along with the guy that if he couldn't catch a football, he'd probably be in prison. You're just not going to do it. You're not,
or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be like you could be. It could be like just like if you are if you're the leader of the team and your attitude portrays that you think that you are better than people, then that's the problem.
I think Cousins makes it work because he doesn't take himself that seriously.
Correct, because he doesn't like make people feel inferior inside of the locker room. He is a great
like that.
He didn't go after people, but he also just like he's very positive. He's always motivating people. He's not like Jalen Hurts. I can see him just being the silent guy sitting in the corner, going and working out and just like, doing his thing. And then like he leaves the gym.
That's what I was thinking when Goddard was yelling at him. He just kind of sat there and took it. Like he didn't even look at him. It's like at some level, you should at least look at your guy because then Goddard walks away.
You also think about it. Like, look at the greats, right? Like those guys showed. Like if someone yelled at, I'm not going to use Tom Brady. If someone yelled at Peyton Manning was up. He'd get up and he'd go.
He gave it to Jeff Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he'd come back at you. He like
Tom would too.
Brady would literally throw a helmet and tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, Peyton Manning yelled GD Donald in the middle of a play because he missed a block or an assignment or whatever it was. It's one of my favorite clips from the NFL.
I think to be a leader of that magnitude on a team, I mean, let's just call it what it is. The athletes are like born killers. Like these dudes are killers. Like they're alpha personalities, big-headed. Like they're not gonna take well to the guy that's just to sit there and let them lay into.
and you can't have any superiority complex in any way, but you also can't have any inferiority
No, you have
complex
to
in any way.
know, like, hey, motherfucker, I'm here too. Like,
Yeah. And like
Jalen Hurts has zero emotion on a football field.
yeah, and like Kirk Cousins will show you that you don't have to like curse to be a
No.
part of it.
but you can tell him like, hey,
But
Steph, let's go.
yeah, and he's got that mentality of
got-
like he's pushing people. He gets mad, right? You can see if you watch the quarterback show, you watched him yell at his teammates, you watched him yell at his coach because
dog in him.
he's a fighter.
Yeah. Because he's a competitor.
Yeah, and that's what you got to have.
Yeah, and I mean Jalen wasn't that way at Alabama or Oklahoma. You never saw him get frustrated or
Even on the field now, if he overthrows a ball, like a lot of times you see quarterbacks like they get mad at themselves. Jalen, he has that same look with his chin strap covering half his mouth. Does not show any sort, which is
Jalen
fine.
Hurts might be a robot.
It's fine.
He might be a robot.
it's almost
even
like
keeled.
it's almost like he took advice from someone that said, "Hey man, you need to be like super stoic." And he took it too far.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with
Like
that.
he took that advice and was like, "Okay, I show zero emotion at all times."
His
like,
dad. I mean, his dad's a coach.
Yeah.
Emotion. Like I need my quarterback to have some like anger every once in a while.
I really think the Eagles made a big mistake by paying him. And
I
I said
do.
that when they did pay him. So
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that Super Bowl is the worst thing that ever happened for their future. You'll never turn down playing in a Super Bowl, but
Yep. Hey, but don't worry. You can always blame the fact that you lost a Super Bowl because of grass.
that's true.
You can always
That
blame
grass.
it was just grass. All right, we should probably talk about the Bucks.
Are they legitimately good?
No, they're not. They're gonna get steamrolled. This is the game where I am the most rooting for the Lions because we cannot have an NFC South team in the NFC Championship. We cannot have an NFC South team in the NFC Championship game. That would be atrociously bad for the look of the NFL.
No, but we need to give respect to Baker.
Baker, hey,
Saved his career.
Baker has only ever lost to one team in the playoffs.
And that is
Kansas City Chiefs. He has never lost
one other game.
He has never lost a playoff game to anyone but Patrick Mahomes. Baker played fine. I mean, he played really well. A lot of his yards, if you look at it, are yards after catch because the Eagles could not tackle a sixth grader last night or the other night. I'm most impressed with their defense, and that's the thing that that's I guess the battle that I'm intrigued about the Detroit game. I mean, they had a lot of pressure on Jalen last night or Monday night or whatever night it was. Like the Bucs defense looks good.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and we all know Detroit's defense is very bad.
Yeah, I just don't think the Bucs can survive like any sort of shootout. Like they're gonna have to score. If the Lions score 24 points, it's over.
Okay, there you go.
That's the take.
I think the Lions are 3-point favorites again. No, 6.5. My bad. I mean, yeah. I mean the bookmakers are saying that hey, only one of these games is going to be close. And also, what I think is funny, I think the game that they are saying is going to be close is going to be the game that's not close.
Chiefs Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love.
I think it's just the history. It's just the history of it.
Yes, I think it's a smart line set by Vegas because it's going to get a lot of action on both sides. I just think that
they love.
I think the Bills are a better football team right now than the Chiefs are.
Oh, I would agree 100%.
By a bit.
The Bills have they've been playing playoff games since like mid-November.
Yeah,
or maybe the beginning of December.
They were 6-6, and they had to win 5 consecutive games to make the playoffs, and now they've won a 6th consecutive game. I mean, the Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. which is why a couple weeks ago on this podcast, I told you that the Bills was the team that I was going to pick to win the Super Bowl.
I don't trust them still, but
I would hate it if they would win the Super Bowl, but I think they will.
I still don't trust them for some reason. I love Josh Allen. I love watching him play. I just do not trust him. He's going to make a mistake at some point. It's going to cost him.
I hope so. I hope it's Sunday. Oh, sorry. We gotta go back. Let's talk about the Peacock situation. How did we not talk about the Peacock situation? This is for Kim. Kim, if you're still listening an hour and 45 minutes in, good for you.
Kim was ticked.
Kim was ticked. So I have family all over the Missouri area, and you could not get the game depending on where you live in that state, even though it's right next door. And so we had to hook up the grandparents with Peacock, and that was an experience and all these things.
It was a disaster.
But then obviously Peacock also has a limit on how many screens you are. So even though I already pay for Peacock, we had to get another Peacock subscription to get all the family members to be able to get it. It was just an ordeal.
It is messed up. I'm not going to lie. It made me mad too because the NFL is taking advantage of us.
Oh, and the worst part was they were bragging about it. They were like, come witness history to the first game Peacock exclusive. And I was just like, dude, this is not history. This is trash. We hate this.
Yeah, like nobody's like, oh, heck yeah, we get to watch a game on Peacock.
It's going to be the new normal.
And we have to pay to listen to Jason Garrett commentate a game?
Yeah, I'll say also, if we're going to get Peacock or whatever it's going to be, give me the best commentators if I'm paying $6 for it.
We're listening to Jason Garrett.
Do not give me Jason Garrett and Mike Tirico.
Yeah, it makes me mad because I feel like they're taking advantage of us. And it worked because it was the highest streamed event of all time. But I will say, if they do it again, I guarantee that will not happen.
Yeah. Also, like, can we get this? Can we get it on one of the other ones that's better? Can we get, like, NBC has the worst announcers.
Amazon would have been fine, honestly.
No, Amazon would have been trash.
I like Kirk much better than freaking Jason Garrett.
That is true. And I would have liked it on Fox.
Fox would have been fine. I just the idea of having to you pay for cable to have the games, but now you also have to pay for Peacock to have the games, plus Amazon, plus every other streaming network alive.
Now, if it was a regular season game, I'd be fine. If they wanted to do once a month, there's a regular season game on Peacock, that's way more reasonable. You can't put the playoffs on streaming only. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't do it. It's just like you're basically just admitting that we're basically the MLB who has playoff games in the middle of a workday.
I think it's bad.
It's the same thing. It's a bad look.
And it's bad that it worked because they're going to do it even more.
Well, my personal opinion is within the next 10 years, every conference in college football will have their own streaming.
That's fine. I'll stop watching college football.
And the NFL will be on like 6 different. Why do I have balloons?
That was really weird. Yeah, no, the NFL is definitely going to be on 4 different subscription services eventually.
Yep. And you're not and to watch all of it, you're going to pay for all of it.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but it's still like sickening.
It's trash.
But it's what they're going to do because they're going to make.
We already pay for. We have to pay for streaming. We already have to pay for YouTube TV. How is it like Fox should be ticked or whoever? They should all be ticked because it's like now they're all going to have to do it.
Yeah,
it's going to be extra bidding war.
Like, I'm totally fine the fact that Thursday Night Football is on Amazon Prime. Now,
we already have Amazon Prime.
Could Amazon Prime fix their video quality? Yeah, but that's a whole different debate. But most of the time, I'm busy Thursday night, and also the game sucks, so I don't want to watch it.
If that game was on Peacock, I wouldn't pay for Peacock.
But you cannot have must watch games.
Agreed.
On streaming only.
And it's just mean. It's just mean. It's mean to the old people.
If you want, I mean, seriously though, it is mean to the old people.
It is.
It's mean to people like
It's
people that
me,
already spend money.
people like Austin, who have to explain to the old people how to do it.
No, I mean, like, think about. So my grandparents live in the state of Missouri. I have family that lives in the state of Kansas. Like, Kansas City is on the border of both of them.
The other issue
A lot
I
of people
have
had to go out and not only buy Peacock, they had to buy smart TVs.
to get Peacock.
Think about the old people who don't use smart TVs.
It's messed up. The other problem I have with it is, oh wait, Peacock, I'm still sitting through 18 commercial breaks every 10 minutes.
And it's the same commercial.
If I'm paying for the game, why am I then sitting through commercials that you also get paid for? Like, I don't want to sit through commercials. That game should be expedited if it's on Peacock.
Stimulating the market, fellas. We're just big old.
It should be expedited. There should be no red hand guy.
Get freaking Orange Glove off the
There should
field.
be
They're
Orange Glove
trash.
off of everything because I paid. If UFC, if I paid $65 to watch a UFC fight and they showed me a commercial every 2 seconds, I'd be ticked. And they don't. When you pay for it, they don't. They'll show like presented by Bud Light, presented by Coors Light, whatever. But it's not like 3.5 minutes of commercials that I've watched 1,000 times already.
Do the little 30-second commercial. That's fine.
That's fine. You can say presented by whoever. But if I'm paying for the game, I should not be watching commercials. There better be some entertainment in the middle of the situation.
Yeah, it was rough. I'm pretty sure that there's no more Peacock or whatever exclusive.
No, it's
everything
over.
Everything should be good
Until next year when they do like
until
all the
until
NFC
next year
championship games on it.
Yeah, they will take it as a success. And
which I bet it was the most canceled. I bet literally when the game ended, I immediately canceled my Peacock subscription. It actually reminded me to cancel Peacock.
Yeah, the other thing is I guarantee I want to know what their data was. I bet a bunch of people turned the game off because it wasn't a good game.
That's the other thing. It was a bad
game. But because it's a streaming service, they're just going to look at the subscription increase, and so they're going to do it again, not at the actual how long did people watch my service.
Yeah, 100%. They were treating it as a win. They were releasing numbers like most watched streaming event ever, yada yada, whatever.
I feel like a random YouTube TV event would be better still, because does that count as streaming?
Yeah, that's streaming. That's my whole point. Is we already all pay for streaming. Why do we got to pay for more streaming?
Hey, if you still have your Peacock though, because you paid for it for a whole month, watch the Holdovers. There you go.
No, I had
one good thing to have.
Months, and the only reason I remembered to cancel is because I watched the game and said, "Oh, I need to cancel this."
There you go. Well, even if you cancel it, like it'll give you the month that you've already paid for.
Yeah.
So I still probably have a couple days.
So like, if you haven't go watch the Holdovers on Peacock. That's one good thing they've streamed. Besides, like, if you want to watch The Office for the millionth time or Parks and Rec,
TV show.
Yeah, but no, the Holdovers is a movie.
So I have to watch it.
It's a new Paul Giamatti movie. He'll be up for like all the Oscars and things like that. So there you go. It's good thing to watch. Okay, let's talk about next weekend. Next weekend divisional round. We got what? 4 games?
4 games.
We got 7 games left of football.
Yep.
I mean, this season has flown by. So sad. Saturday, according to the bookmakers, is not going to be a good day of football because both games are basically 10-point spreads. So apparently it's supposed to have 2 blowouts on Saturday with the Texans at the Ravens and the Packers at the Niners. If I had to guess, I haven't looked at it. I'm going to assume that most of the money is on both of the underdogs because they both played very well.
And they're also 10. We're talking double digit. Much
and the Ravens and the Niners both have not played in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
because they also sat their starters in the last week of the season.
I could honestly see both those games being close at the very least.
I could also see them both being just an absolute nightmare.
That's the problem. I can see it very easily going either way. If Lamar has a good game, I could see that being a
Lamar chokes.
But Lamar can be terrible sometimes.
The only thing I hope doesn't happen is that CJ Stroud finally plays like a rookie. I hope that doesn't happen.
That's what I'm scared of.
I hope that he
how
doesn't
well he
have a
played.
game where he throws his 3 picks.
It's a classic
And-
letdown spot.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen. Like, he might not have a good game. Like, he might have a low completion percentage and low yards, but I don't want it to be like he throws 2 pick sixes and has a fumble or something like that. That's what we can't have.
Game's over in the second quarter because he threw 2 pick sixes on 2 consecutive passes.
Yeah, exactly. Can't have a Flacco. And then same thing with Jordan.
Austin, we lost.
Whoa. That's not even Elon.
No, he froze, huh?
That's just straight up actual Wi-Fi. He gone.
You coming back?
He's legit gone.
We're still recording. That's impressive.
Probably canceled the whole thing.
Oh, dude.
Lost power. Well, that might have ended the show, fella.
He lost power?
Yeah. That's what he said.
All right, thanks for tuning in. It's a hell of a way to end it.
He was just about to say something really groundbreaking, too.
Oh, he was.
I wonder, that might take a minute to get power back.
Plug in the laptop. Make sure it's actually plugged in.
Maybe that's what he means. He lost power on his computer.
Laptop.
Well, he's using a freaking
Desktop?
desktop, I think, isn't he?
I don't know.
Flagrant 2, Devontae Davis. He gone.
Here you go.
He just kicked him in the nuts.
Dude, I'm exhausted. I'm
Me
faded.
too. I don't know if I can make it much longer. It's already 11:20.
Oh,
I mean, this could take a minute.
we're still live. We're still recording.
Yeah, we're just sitting here, fellas. I'm watching the A&M basketball game. They tried to make a little comeback. Now they're about to lose, but the Arkansas guy just got thrown out for a flagrant 2 for kicking our guy in the nuts.
I'm watching the Hugh Hefner documentary.
Oh, wow. I bet that's interesting.
A lot of boobies.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of boobies.
Are you watching it just quiet?
Yeah, I have subtitles on.
Interesting.
I always subtitles on when we record, so I can at least read to see.
I just usually have a sports game on, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I was
I can tell
watching.
what's going on.
It was a blow,
Can't hit a free throw. Absolutely cannot hit a free throw.
and then the Kansas game's a blowout. So,
College basketball's kind of been flopping this year.
uh,
Oh my gosh, that's 6 straight missed free throws in a row.
there's no team that can just walk through anybody.
No, it's going to be a weird tournament because
Everyone's equaled out. It's equaled out.
it's going to be like one of those years where it ends up being like an 11 seed with an 8 seed versus 7 seed versus 6 seed.
Hey, go.
All right.
It's been recording the whole time. We've talked
We've
about.
been talking.
Talked about
There's no way that that's still recorded. But
Says it is.
recording
okay. I lost power, but we're back.
about college basketball. Hugh Hefner and A&M guy getting kicked in the nuts.
Really?
Yeah, flagrant 2
I
because
feel
he
like I
kicked
was-
him in the nuts.
I feel like I was gone for 40 seconds, but y'all
No, that was a
really
couple
got after it.
minutes.
Well, we
Oh,
covered
all right.
what we were watching. He's watching the A&M game. I'm watching a Hugh Hefner documentary, and then we talked about basketball.
Fantastic. All right, let's quickly. Well, I don't even remember what we were talking about. Let's just go over our bets because we're already at 2 hours basically, so it's time to get out of here.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about that too, about how both of us are exhausted.
Oh, ready to go to bed, Sam?
Yeah.
You didn't even work today, Jonathan. You shut up.
Went to the gym for almost 2 hours.
You said you didn't go to work until noon.
Whoa,
So what'd you do before that?
Get online?
Rough life.
It's not my
Yeah,
fault.
for Blake, it's almost midnight, and I know he wakes up early. All right, y'all go ahead and tell everybody else your picks while
7 straight missed free throws.
my computer reloads so that I learn what my actual picks were because I had them written down on my computer, but I forgot what they were.
All right, let's see. Where am I
I'm taking Detroit minus 6.5. Buffalo minus 2.5. And Green Bay plus 9.5.
There you go.
I'm taking Buffalo minus 2.5, Detroit minus 6.5, and I'm taking San Francisco minus 9.5.
Okay. Hey, also, we all text those to me because I wasn't paying attention and I didn't have them posted up, so I didn't write them down. Appreciate it. Shane, obviously, for those who haven't paid attention this whole time, has not been here, but he texted in his picks like a good person. We have to talk about Shane. Shane's on a heater. I'm pretty sure Shane is 9-0 in his last 9 picks, and Shane is now tied for first place. Shane went from worst to first. Shane and I have a tie with 27 wins because Shane has gone 3-0, definitely in his last 2 weeks, but I'm pretty sure it's his last 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure he's 9-0 over the last 3 weeks. So Shane's word is gold. Shane is texting me terrible picks. Is that why he's winning?
He's taking terrible picks and pulling them out.
Shane texted me that the Texans plus 7.5, but the Texans are definitely plus 9.5. So I'm gonna give him those points, even though I shouldn't.
I got 8.5.
Dude, what are y'all looking at?
I can't ever get FanDuel to load, so I look at my bookie.
My bookie has him at 8.
FanDuel won't load for me for some reason.
FanDuel in the state of Texas gives me 9.5, and I'm pretty sure ESPN also has that at 9.5. Yeah. Let me check.
The second burrito was.
Okay, this is the first time I've ever seen lines so different from each other. FanDuel still has it at 9.5, but ESPN does have it at 7.5.
Oh, gee whiz. 2
So
points?
like heavy money is coming in on Houston, so we're gonna average that. We'll say 8.5, just for whatever, because I also have that, so I will also take 8.5. Shane also had the Lions at minus 9.5, and then he has the Bills at minus 2.5. I took the Texans plus 8.5. I took the Niners minus 9.5. I took the Bills minus 2.5 because I think the Bills are gonna beat the Chiefs by 2 touchdowns. But
picking against his own team.
No. I think that game is gonna be a lot of offensive movement and all these things, but I don't think that the Chiefs will score touchdowns in the red zone, and you can't beat the Bills without scoring touchdowns in the red zone.
That's a fact.
So that's the thing. All right. My thing looks like it's about to crash again, so we're going to end this call really quickly. Appreciate everyone for listening. We'll see you next week. Hopefully the Chiefs are into the AFC Championship game, and make good choices as always.